And we're back. The time is now 5 o'clock. Top stories this morning. Bay Area commuters can breathe a sigh of relief this morning. BART trains are running. A strike has been averted. Full details coming up in just a moment. And the Santa Cruz Mountains fire is now 65% contained, and residents of the Bonnie Doon area have been allowed back into their homes. We'll have more on this story as well straight ahead. And also, Tropical Storm Claudette has come ashore on the Florida Panhandle, leading to heavy rains. You can see some of the pictures here. It's expected to bring anywhere from 6 inches of rain to parts of Florida. 10 inches, too, could be seen in some areas. Full details straight ahead on that. We're also following the latest in weather and traffic. Let's get our first look of it now. A shot of the Golden Gate Bridge here, and straight over to the Weather Center now with Evelyn Taft. Hey, Ev.
Good morning, James. Want to get a look at that 7-day around the bay, and as you see right here, lots of sunshine, warm to hot into our inland spots, gradually cooling into the weekend. But before that, plenty of 90s expected into your inland spots, upper 70s, even 80s around the bay with 60s at the coast. Similar day to yesterday, dealing with a bit of morning fog, mostly restricted to the coast, so we are seeing offshore winds, and it's going to keep fog at bay, not really getting too widespread, and as a result, plenty of sunshine and a mild to warm to hot day today. 5:01 the time right now. I want to get a quick check of traffic with George.
Well, even though we've managed to avert the BART strike, the potential still existed for a bigger than normal backup. A lot of folks had expected the BART strike this morning and were making alternate plans, but so far here at the Bay Bridge, no backup, no delay, and it's an easy westbound ride. But we'll be keeping an eye on all those major East Bay and westbound commute routes this morning just to see if they're a little heavier than normal. James?
All right, George, thank you much. 5:02 is the time. Again, our developing story this morning, as we've mentioned already, BART trains are running this morning. No BART strike. It was averted thanks to an agreement that was struck between both sides late yesterday. KRON 4's Will Tran actually joining us by phone now this morning with the latest on all of this. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, James. I'm at the Fremont BART station, and I can tell you, from what it appears now, many people did not get the word that the BART strike has been averted, because normally I've been here many times at 5 o'clock in the morning. There are lots of BART riders, but this morning I can literally count only 3 at the platform. I saw one train coming in at 4:50 headed to San Francisco, and I even have video of one guy, only one person sitting there. So I do expect probably more people hitting the roads this morning, because last night when they went to bed, probably didn't get the word that there is no strike this morning. Back to you, James.
All righty, Will, we'll be following this story. Thank you very much, and stay tuned for KRON 4 news throughout the morning and our website, KRON4.com. Incidentally, we're going to be live blogging beginning at 7:30 this morning. We'll get reaction from riders this morning about this avoiding of the strike. So we'll have all of that coming up. We also have the entire news conference, too, that announced the tentative agreement on BART. That's on our website. Just click on that special section there and read all about it and watch it. All right, we're also following the Santa Cruz Mountains fire. It is now 65% contained this morning. CAL FIRE has lifted the mandatory evacuation order in the Bonnie Doon area, and that will now allow some of the 2,400 residents that were evacuated to come home today. Since Wednesday night, when crews began battling the fire, it has burned some 6,800 acres so far. The nearby Swanton community is still under a mandatory evacuation order, however. The state of emergency was declared in Santa Cruz County on Friday, and the fire has damaged, we understand, at least 2 buildings. None of those buildings, though, were homes. They were just outbuildings. We'll have more on this in a minute. We also wanted to share with you some photographs that we found online as well. This one coming through from an Associated Press photographer. Let's bring it full screen so you can see here the heat of the fire here in the background. You see in the lower right there the head of a firefighter. He was battling this fire, and it was on the verge of jumping a road here when they really laid down the hose, and as you can see here in this shot too, got to the business of keeping that fire from jumping the roadway. And they used roads like this as natural fire breaks as they tried to draw that containment line and keep it under control. And as we told you this morning, it's now 65% contained. Boy, look at the height of some of these flames here in the background as these firefighters working out there. A lot of them with just pickaxes and shovels trying to dig out that fire trench, that fire line. But they made excellent progress over the weekend. As we said, 65% containment now. And this isn't the only fire we're following. We're also following the Altamont Pass fire. It is now 100% contained. So some great news there. It burned about 12,500 acres along that border there between Alameda and San Joaquin County, between the cities of Tracy and Livermore. Now, there hadn't been any evacuations, no buildings were damaged, and no injuries had been reported. This fire broke out on Thursday, and again, over the weekend, they got it under full containment. More on that story, too, as it develops and they get it under complete control. 5:05 the time, though. Let's get a full look at the forecast now. Evelyn Taft standing by in the Weather Center with more on that. Hey there, Ev.
Good morning, James. We're taking a look at Storm Tracker 4, taking a look at your local forecast this morning. And as we do, dealing with coastal fog and in inland spots into the mid to upper 90s, at least through Friday. 5:07 the time right now. Let's get a check on traffic with George.
Thanks, Evelyn. Good morning. Because word of the BART strike came late enough in the day, some folks may have already had alternate commute plans like driving to work this morning or taking public transit. So we've been trying to keep a close eye on what's happening on the major feeder routes. Interstate could be a good ride and shift your commute pattern around just a little. James.
George, thank you very much. And at 5:08, a couple other headlines to keep you updated on this morning. First off, there is still no sign of 5-year-old Hassani Campbell. Members of his church in Fremont handed out flyers yesterday. On Saturday, though, searchers focused on this area here that you see on your TVs. It's a salt marsh next to an auto yard. Apparently, authorities say it was visited by Hassani's foster father the day the boy was reported missing. The foster father says Hassani was last seen in the back of his parked car last Monday outside an Oakland strip mall. Meanwhile, Melissa Huckabee is expected to be back in a Stockton courtroom today. Here you see her during her last court appearance back on April 14th. She's charged with murder and other crimes connected with the Sandra Cantu case. Right now, there's a gag order in the court proceedings, so it's not clear why Huckabee is back in court today. We'll try and find out for you. Her preliminary hearing, though, had been set for September 26th. Also this week, Nathaniel Burris will be back in court as well. He's the man, of course, that's accused of murdering 2 people at the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge toll plaza last week. He repeatedly tried to enter a guilty plea last Friday, but a judge said that he couldn't do that he had to return back to court on Thursday coming up here, at which point he could ask the judge to represent himself and enter a plea. All right, 5:09 is the time. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back, though, with more in just a couple of minutes. And again, if you've just joined us, there is no BART strike today. You can take the trains into work. They are running. We'll have more on this story throughout the day. In the meantime, let's go outside and give you a live look from our roof camera this morning. There is a little fog out there for San Francisco and some parts of the peninsula. Temperatures will be on the cool side this morning, but they'll warm up again, especially inland this afternoon. We'll get a full forecast with Evelyn coming up in just a moment.